Hey there, this is Linda Bartolucci, and we're going to start in just a moment. Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Bartolucci. Welcome back to my channel. Today is our weekly workshop. It's Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every single week. Today, I have some hacks, I guess I'm calling them. I have tips for you on how to do box making. At this point in the holiday season, I hope that you have started making progress on your cards if you're choosing to send out handmade cards. If you haven't gotten a chance to do that yet, you might want to take a peek at last week's video. I gave you some great tips on mass production, which ends up happening every year at this time. We start crunch time and we need to make sure that we're as efficient as possible in making our holiday cards. Today, we're going to transition into gift giving, and I'm going to show you how to make a box for giving cards, but you can also use this to make a box for just about anything. It's a very basic math that we're going to do today to show you how to make a box for just about anything. And I have this really cool tool that will make it super easy for you to do. All right, just a couple of housekeeping things to take care of. First of all, let me bring this up real quick. There we go. Hey, Nancy. Hi, Sue. Glad you guys are here. Um, anyway, a little bit of housekeeping. Right now, Stampin' Up! Has a huge sale going on all their cardstocks, all their ink, their classic ink pads, and any dies that are in the annual catalog. All of them are discounted at a different rate, but you can look at today's post and see all the items and what they're discounted to. I added all of that in. It's the one that talks about the seasonal sale. It might actually have bumped down because I think I put the post up for this video as I'm thinking about it just before we went live. So you can be watching this video through that blog post. After the blog post, I will add a couple more pictures and just make sure everything is linked. And I'll also update the YouTube description if you are watching it directly on YouTube for all the things you need to know and to be able to download all the tools that I'm going to give you. The first tool is just like last week, there is a little ebook that goes with this box making that you can just keep in your craft room, makes life really easy. Just grab it whenever you need to make a box. The second tool is the usual PDF, which gives you links to all the products that I'm going to use today that are sponsored by Stampin' Up! And I think that, let's see, we have the seasonal sale going on. Oh, and I know what else. I got to order from the new catalog this morning because it is live and I was part of a product premiere promotion. So I will have new products to show you sometime in the very near future. Now, I have already planned on showing off tags next week. So I will slide an extra video in to show you not only the products that I receive in this order, but give you a little peek on what you can expect in the upcoming January to June catalog. I will tell you that I am super excited about this one. And I don't say that lightly or all the time. But I have to say, in thumbing through it, I felt like there is something for everyone. I'm not thrilled with every single thing. I don't need to buy everything, but there are so many things that are on trend and I'm super excited to get. Some of which I was able to purchase yesterday. Some I'll have to wait till December. So anyway, we will have at least 2 sneak peeks before you guys can purchase in January to give you lots of opportunity to decide what you want. And remember that January and February are celebration as well, which means that you can purchase products and get bonus free products, which is always wonderful. All right. One last thing, please do the YouTubey things. If you are here watching this live, make sure you like the video, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and that you ring the notification bell. If you are Team Replay, please leave a comment below. Let me know what your favorite tip was and let me know that you're on Team Replay. And again, if you would please subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you know every time I post a video. All right, let's get to the overhead shot. There we go. Let me see if I can bring myself in just to talk to you a little bit about this. Mm, Okay, wrong way. Okay. Oop. And there we go. Okay, so I'm in the picture. Let me, I think I can, nope, I have to go back this way and shrink myself down a little bit. There we go, that's better. Okay, so I'm a little bit smaller. I like that. All right, so this is a box that you can make. And it's super easy. You just use 2 pieces of cardstock, and we use a card front to decorate it. The lid comes off really easily and just slides right back on. And if you were giving a stack of cards to a friend, you could put this stack of cards in. I have 12 cards and 12 envelopes. I'll put it on the right way for the camera. And then I can just slide this lid on. Do you ever have the problem where the lid doesn't just slide on like silk? We're going to solve that today. All right, so this might be something that you want to gift to people. It might not be this thick, and I will show you a general math way to figure out the measurements for the lid and the base of a box that you can use for any box that you might be doing. So that's what we're going to work on today. And I'm also going to show you, I'm going to bring in my sample boxes to show you this. I'm also going to show you, well, let me just point this out. You'll notice on this box that the lid does not go all the way to the base of the box so that you can show off a little bit of color here. Maybe you want to do 2 different colors. If you're just going to do one, maybe you just want to, for the whole thing to cover up. So in this case, I made the same size box that you just saw, but I made a lid that was just as deep, and it goes on just get in there. Oh, it does. There we go. It's just harder to do when there's nothing in it. There we go. And it goes on just like that. So you could do lid and box, same size. So I'm going to show you how to make both kinds of boxes, same size and altering side. And then I just have this cute little extra topper that we will put on the box that we are going to complete. But before we get to that, I just want to show you that this is the box making guide, and it takes you through how to make a shim, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. And then it takes you through the basic math that we're going to do, which is super easy to calculate our box and our lid. And then you might do lid 1 or you might do lid 2. And I'll walk you through how that works. And then this explains how to put together the box and the lid, because assembling each piece is exactly the same, no matter which way you do it. And then there's just a few resources for you. If you're looking at these online, these are live links for you. All right, so and this again is available inside the PDF for this live, as well as on the blog post about this live. All right, so let's talk about the shim first, because the shim is the magic. The shim is what makes the lid just a little bit larger than the box, which makes it slide on really nice. Yeah, so 12 is a great quantity, and it makes it really easy. So what you're going to need in order to make the shim is a window sheet and a piece of cardstock. Your cardstock is 1 inch wide, and it's just as tall as your window sheet. And the reason I say that is because I'm using a piece that is 6 3/4. Where did I get this? I got this from a new stamp set, because if you'll notice, if you get clear stamps, the photopolymer ones, Stampin' Up! Is including a window sheet to protect the stamps until you get them and can mount them on the back cover and get them all set up. So you have all these extra window sheets that you might have in your stash. If you don't, I've also linked the window sheet item where you can order a 12 by 12 window sheet. And I indicate in the PDF or the ebook that you want your shim to be at least 6 inches tall. It just makes life easier. And I would recommend that it's not any taller than 8 inches. So if you have to cut off the window sheet, make sure it's 2 by 8. Might as well make it the biggest. This is 6 3/4, and we're just going to cut it to 2. So the window sheet portion is 2 inches wide, but it just needs to be as tall, at least 6 inches, no taller than 8. And then the cardstock piece is 1 inch wide, and it's the same height as your window sheet piece. Clear? Great. All right, let's bring in our trimmer so I can cut this window sheet to 2 inches. All right, and it cuts it really easily. So now I have my 2-inch piece. This is scrap. And now I'm going to score it. And I like to use my Simply Scored tool to score, just because you need to get the creases pretty tight. You could definitely do it with your trimmer, but I just find it a little easier to do it with my Simply Scored tool. I also, you'll notice on the scored tool, you have a larger end on this end of the stylus and a smaller end. I use the smaller end to get a tighter crease. It goes farther down in the groove. I don't start right at the top because this is not cardstock. It doesn't have any grab onto the onto the top of this. So I'm scoring at a 1/2 inch, and I'm just gonna push into that, and I'm just gonna kind of squiggle back and forth until I get a groove going. And then I'll take it all the way down, and I'll do the same thing. And you just have to hold it really well because you don't want it to slip and give you a kind of diagonal. So I'm scoring at 1/2 inch, and then I'm scoring at 1 1/4 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get it started, and then I'm just going to work it down, and I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times. All right, and then we're going to use our bone folder to make sure that both have nice tight creases. I'm going to bring that back to take care of the cardstock, but let's finish off the window sheet part of the shim. All right, so I have this score line, but I really need to burnish it carefully. You could press a lot harder than I did. I prefer to just get the score line and then kind of work it with my fingers and then start to burnish it, which will finish it off. Sounds like I'm killing it, but I'm not. I'm just finishing off the score. All right, so we just want to make sure that you have a really crisp score here. And then the other thing is, when you're doing this, so this is my 1/2 inch score line. When I fold in the 1 1/4, I want to fold it the towards this score. I don't want to fold it back. I want to fold it towards there. So they're overlapping. And what happens, to give you a guide, is this edge should match up with this fold. Make sure you can kind of see that. I think you can. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So now I'm just going to walk my score down with my finger and my thumb. And remember, you're not using this window sheet over something where you care about fingerprints or anything like that. You're using it as a shim to make your lids. It's a tool for you. It's never going to be part of your finished box. It's going to be a guide to help you make that box. All right, so now I have this scored and folded really nice. The next thing I want to do is add my cardstock piece. Do I need this cardstock piece? Absolutely. It is an essential part of your shim, but it doesn't need to be peacock blue, which is what this one is. You could make it orange, pink, anything. If you are somebody who tends to lose things in your craft room, I would make this as bright as possible. I just have a bunch of them, so I don't worry about losing it. Yes, Jenny, like folding a letter. Thanks. Um, but I do recommend that you use brightly colored cardstock if you have it in your stash as scrap, because it'll just make things easier. So, oops. And now I'm scoring this at 1/2 inch, and I'm using the small end of the stylus again. And I don't care that I made that little mistake because, again, this is a tool. It's not that I need the finished tool to look beautiful and be able to use it or put it on a card or do anything like that. All right, so remember, we scored at a 1/2 inch and we scored at 1 1/4, which gave us a large piece and a smaller piece. The smaller piece is what we are going to wrap this around. And this piece of cardstock around the window sheet is what's going to make our shim. So this is all, this tool is functioning off the width of one piece of cardstock and a window sheet. That's all we're doing to make our lid looser. So I'll show you, when I show you this in action, that'll make sense. But first we're going to put tear and tape on our shim and finish constructing it. So I'm going to put tear and tape across. I don't want it to go over any edges, but I do want it to go as close to the edges as possible. And I'm also going, I'm also putting it pretty close to either end and away from the score. All right. So now I'm going to take my take your pick tool, which is right here. We're going to pull off the release paper. Oh, come on. There we go. And I'm only going to pull off one release paper because it just makes it easier. All right, so now I'm going to open this a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to take the side that I removed the release paper from, and I'm going to tuck that on the inside where the 1/2 inch is. So I'm going to slide it into here so I can line up the edge. Let me make sure you can see that. So I've lined up the top edge there, which should make the bottom edge line up since they're the same. And this is pushed against the fold. And now I can just go ahead and glue that down. So now it's right there against the fold. And now I can take the release paper off the other side and I'll have my shim. Whoop, there we go. All right. And now I have my cardstock on the 1/2 inch and I have my 1 1/4 flap over here. It's actually only 3/4, but just it worked out that way. We scored it at 1/2 and 1 1/4. All right, so now I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored because this is what how the shim is going to load. And this is going to go right here and it's going to give you just a little extra gap when you're scoring, and that is what's going to make your lid just a little bit larger. That's all it's going to do. So you can save this, you can keep it. This one doesn't have any pockets. I lost the top, but you could definitely drop it in here if you wanted to keep it somewhere in your Simply Scored. There used to be a top here. Mine just sort of didn't make it through the move very well, but it still works. I'm just missing a top. So anyway, you can store it with that. That will prevent you from having to make many of these like I have. But this is the shim, and this is what we're going to use for the lid. But first, what we need to do is we need to decide how big our bottom and lid are going to be. I'm not going to follow along the PDF. It does lay it out very simply for you. We're just going to use our 2 pieces of cardstock. This time I am going to make the box using a smoky slate top and a basic black bottom just to mix it up a little bit and let you see how it will look just a little bit differently. So we are going to make this the bottom and we're going to make this the top. We are going to use the same measurements for the top and the bottom in dimension and in scoring, but we are going to just use the shim to make the top. So this one, the top is going to go all the way down. Actually, I think I'm still going to do the black top because of the way I layered. So it's going to be a black top and a smoky slate bottom, but we're going to make it go all the way to the bottom. So for that, we need, let me show you how I decided. We need to know what the largest item is that's going in our box. And this time that's the envelope because it's bigger than the cards. And we need to know how tall our stack is. And our stack is, let me get to is just shy of 2 inches. Now, if you are working with 8.5 by 11 cardstock, 2 inches is the max, about the max thickness that you can do if you're planning on packaging cards. So 12 is about the most that you're going to be able to do. I have a lot of embellishments on mine. You might be able to get away with 15 if you're just talking very basic note cards with hardly any layering at all, but I wouldn't push it beyond that, and I would definitely test it out first. Just use your ruler and see how thick the stack is. So let's see how wide and how high and wide my base needs to, the ending box needs to be. I'm tripping over my words. All right, so I have my ruler, and this comes in at 4 3/8. So I'm going to round up to 4.5. You can't see that. I'm going to grab a piece of white paper here. There we go. So this is 4 3/8. I'm going to round up to 4.5. It's much easier for doing your calculations when you round up to the quarter, half, or inch mark. And then the height of my box, which is going to be this way, so that was the width, is 5 3/4, a little more than 3/4. So I'm going to round up to 6. So what I need in order to create my box, let me move these, is I need the height of the depth, sorry, the depth of the box, 2 inches and 2 inches, and I need 2 inches here and 2 inches here, and then I need 4.5, and I need 6. So this whole thing is 2 plus 6 plus 2, which is 10. And this whole thing is 2 plus 4.5 plus 2, which is 6.5. So, or no, 8.5, sorry. So 8.5 is my width and 10 is my height. So all I need to do is cut an inch off of each of these. So let's do that. I'm gonna grab my trimmer. Like when the bottom shows with the different color cardstock. Yeah, I know that does look really cool. Let's take an inch off here. And before I go too far, I will review the math and explain how you would do the top that way. But for now, we're just going to take, oh, I can go this way. We're going to take an inch off of each of these. Okay, so if I wanted my black lid to be like this one, this lid is only 1.5 inches high. So the math would work exactly the same. I would have my envelope in the middle. Remember, it's I need 4.5 by 6 as the spacing for this to drop into the box really easily. So if I'm doing a 1.5 inch depth lid, then I would have 1.5, 6, 1.5, which would be 9. And then I would have 1.5, 4.5, 1.5, which would be 7.5. So I would have taken 2 inches off the top here, and I would have taken an inch off of this. But I still would have, and I would have scored it at 1.5 inches for the lid. Hope that's clear. All right. But for now, we're gonna try it with the lid going all the way down, because I have a feeling on live I might mess it up if I don't do that. All right. So let's do the lid first because my shim is here. So this is going to be, I cut this for a 2-inch depth to hold my cards. And the only thing that you need to make sure is sometimes because this tapers down, it gets, let me just show you what I mean by that. You see there? Yeah. See how much high this is? And then it gets lower and lower and lower as you go down, which is fine. And that's why we burnish these folds so well so that it kind of hooks on there and holds. But you do want to make sure that it's all the way down on this end because you want your lid to touch the cardstock. You don't want it to accidentally fall underneath and be in the corner because then the shim isn't doing its job. Because the shim is just pushing your lid cardstock out a tiny bit, but we're still going to do 2 inches all the way around. So I'm going to do 2 inches, holding my shim in place and my cardstock, and I'm going to rotate 90 degrees every time. 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. Okay, there's my top. And now I can take my shim off and I can grab my bottom, which I do believe, oh, look at that. I hid it under here. There we go. And now I'm just going to go around 2 inches. I'm just going to move everything over to make my life a little easier. 2 inches. I still find, yes, I could probably move over and score it in a different spot, but I just know it's 2 inches all the way around. So it's easier just to remember one dimension. All right, so now I have my lid and my box. At this point, I like to stop for just a minute and take that largest item, my envelope, again, and just make sure that it fits in the middle for both. And it does. And in fact, I think you can see, can you see how tight? Let me burnish this. I think that'll make it easier for you. Because I know it worked. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish, and you'll see what happened to the lid. So I'm going to burnish these all the way around before I cut. I just find it easier. All right, now you can see these lines a little better, and I'm kind of folding them up a little bit. So do you see how this fits? But it's a tight fit. I mean, it's loose enough to get in there, but it is a tight fit. And when you can see it much easier because it's black. When you look at the score lines for the black, you can see that there's a little more give here. So this top is just a little bit wider and a tiny bit longer so that the lid slides on super easy. That is how the shim works. And thank you. I appreciate the genius compliment. I cannot take credit for it. I learned it from another demonstrator and I gave her credit in the book because I really appreciate it. There are many demonstrators who will show you how to do this. I'm sure there's lots of box makers out there that aren't even Stampin' Up! People that know this trick, but I wanted to share it with you in case you hadn't seen it because this is the time of year when it's fun to make lots of boxes. I mean, you could do this. You could easily put your favorite baked good. I would definitely put it in some sort of plastic container. All right, I'm gonna mute you for a second because I really need to cough. Okay, hopefully that didn't blow your ears out. Hopefully the mute worked. But this is the time of year when, oh, I was starting to say baked goods. Just put them in something plastic. It could even just be a Ziploc, just so that the oils from whatever you baked don't get onto your cardstock and make it a mess. But you could definitely box up baked goods. You could box up candies. There is no limit to what you could box. And then you just change the size of your box. Maybe you need to have a little bit of 12 by 12 cardstock on hand. But I think really most of the things that you would give are going to be, this would probably be the largest size of something that you might give to somebody. All right, so I cut all of them and I have these flaps. And this is the easy thing to remember. You don't want to cut the larger sides. That's how I remember what to miter. Yes, you're mitering these 4 small ones. For some reason, the inverse just works in my head, and I always remember I need to leave these alone. I actually just like to miter the outside. You can miter both sides. It's totally up to you. And I'm just mitering, oh, not that little. I'm just mitering a little bit. So I just miter the outsides. I flip it around so it's an easier angle for right-handed me to do. That one's already done. And there we go. So I just miter the outside of the four. You can certainly miter the inside as well, up to you. I think it does just fine. So I like to cut at an upward angle, which is why I do two one side and then the other two the other way. And you can see from the scraps that are hitting the bottom of my desk that everything is pretty small. There's not a lot to what I mitered away. All right, now what we're going to do is I want this to come in this way. So all of my tear and tape, remember we burnished it so it's going to fold like this. All of my tear and tape is going to go on this side, the puffy side. So I'm just going to go around. If this was a box that I was truly going to give to somebody, I would make sure that I put at least 2 strips of tear and tape on every corner. You could also use Stampin' Seal Plus for this. That is what it's designed for. The reason that we have the plus is so that you have a cartridge dispenser for 3D projects if you need that for your adhesive. You could definitely use liquid glue or tear and tape. All three of those are excellent options to make sure that your box stays together really well and it's not going to destruct. If you are giving something that is very lightweight, nothing, a handkerchief, it's what came to mind. A pair of mittens, something really lightweight and small, then you could probably get away with just using regular Stampin' Seal, but anything with any weight to it, I would definitely use one of the stronger adhesives. I'm just going to go around here and do this. Now, why did I take the time to tell you all of that? Because I am going to do the bottom of the box much quicker. I am going to just use one piece for that, just for time saving for the video. All right. There we go. And if you are interested, 2 weeks ago, we did a video staying with the holiday theme. We did a video on gift card holders, and I shared with you that I was going to have a class coming out that had more options for making your gift card holders, and that class is out. When I finish this project, I will show you those projects, and it is a class that you can purchase and have access to immediately. It doesn't come with any Stampin' Up! Or any paper crafting materials. It's just 2.5 hours of separate videos for each project, but altogether it's 2.5 hours of video that teaches you how to make different kinds of gift card holders. I have gift card holders for more than one gift card. I have wallet style gift cards in that class, and I also have just basic card conversion is what I call it, which is similar to what we did in the video 2 weeks ago, but they're completely different because I didn't want to repeat anything. So you have card conversion. It comes in 3 modules, card conversion ones, wallet ones, and then I finish it off with 2 samples of ways to store multiple gift cards. All right, that's a lot of tear and tape backing. All right, we have our top. This is the one that's going to get decorated. Well, I'm going to move out of camera for a minute because it fell on the floor. All right, this is the other reason that I do the lid first, or I did the lid first for you guys, is because I want to glue this down and I want to give it a moment to dry. So I'm just using liquid glue around here. And then I'm going to put this down and center it. So this measures 4 by 5 1/4. I easily could have done it 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I would have had barely anything over here, and I didn't want to do that. Because remember, we had more wiggle room at the in the length than we did in the width. All right, I'm going to set that up here, out of camera, and then we'll do this, and we'll do it quickly. All right, so we have already mitered this. Yes. Yes, we've already mitered this. I'm going to put, it's going to puff up, and that's the side that I want to put my adhesive on. And I'm just going to cheat and go this way with 4 of them. Oops, not those scissors, these. It's always good to keep one pair of scissors that you don't mind getting gummy from all sorts of different adhesives. Just makes life easier. The best way I have found to clean those off is with rubbing alcohol. You can either use a cotton swab and rubbing alcohol, or just keep some of those medical alcohol swabs handy in your craft room to clean off your scissors. And really, the rubbing alcohol is great to clean anything that gets sticky off, because the alcohol will dissipate and you're left with something that doesn't have any sticky on it anymore. All right, I'm just going to pull these back. Only have to deal with 4 this time. We're going to load our cards in here because it's much easier to get the lid on. Remember, that was one of my tips. When you have whatever you're giving inside the lid or inside the base of your box. I'm not sure if you can see that corner. Nope, you definitely cannot, but I will hold this up. All right, and so now we are going to fold our ends in and bring this up, and we're just going to match the corners. There we go. And we're going to bring our end in and match the corner. And there we go, match that corner. All right, so now we have our box. I'm going to take all my cards and put this envelope at the bottom, stack them up, put them in. We have our lid, and it is going to catch at the top and slide on super easy. Voila, there we go. All right, so that concludes Box Making 101. So thank you very much for watching today. I think I got you out in a reasonable amount of time. There's our other lid. Again, please take a minute to look at the links below this video. If you're watching on YouTube, you will see a link to my box making PDF that you can download. It's just a little mini ebook. And you'll also see links to the blog posts that have all the products that were used to make these boxes. So thank you very much for watching. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe, and click the notification bell so you know every time that I post a video. I will be back here next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and we will be talking all about making tags for the holiday. Have a great day. Bye-bye.